Nestled in the heart of the busy Mississippi Gulf Coast is a hidden treasure. Just minutes away from the bustle of Gulfport flows historic Turkey Creek. In 1866, a small group of emancipated slaves purchased and settled 320 acres of undeveloped swampland in what came to be known as the Turkey Creek community. The namesake creek is a brackish stream flowing southeast from the southwest Harrison County area toward Bayou Bernard in Gulfport. As its name implies, there was once an abundance of wild turkeys in the area. They didn't realize it at the time, but the residents of the Turkey Creek community found themselves living in one of North America's most diversified natural habitats. Although the wild turkeys are gone, the area is still populated by a large array of wildlife, fish, and flora.
The land is actually the first layer of the community's historical significance. The social and cultural significance of this community really speaks to the Civil War and its aftermath, and then every subsequent decade or era of American, Southern, state, and local history.
In 1906, 12 acres on Bayou Bernard were sold to the Gulf Coast Creosote Company. The industry created jobs and helped sustain a way of life in the community until the plant's closure in 1986. Although the creek is not nearly as natural as it once was, many native plant and animal species still thrive in the Turkey Creek watershed. All rainwater that falls on the land surrounding the creek eventually drains or sheds into the nearby creek, creating a floodplain with a variety of habitat types. Habitats that dominate the area include bottomland hardwood forests, freshwater marshes, and pine savannas that dot the floodplain surrounding the creek from the headwaters to the mouth. Turkey Creek also empties into waters connected to the Gulf of Mexico, adding a tidal influence. Although it is considered a freshwater stream, Turkey Creek contains enough saltwater to support many saltwater species at the mouth of the creek. It is also part of a larger watershed, that of the Gulf of Mexico.
Everything that we do on land affects the watersheds. You know, as we look at the Gulf of Mexico, it's the biggest receiving body of water in North America. And we've got the Mississippi River that is by far the largest watershed, but we've got hundreds of small watersheds like Turkey Creek. And collectively, they all affect the Gulf of Mexico. But more importantly, they affect whatever you do on land affects those watersheds. So whatever a landowner does in Turkey Creek first affects Turkey Creek, but ultimately the Gulf. We need to be protecting both. We can't protect the Gulf until we protect Turkey Creek and the Mississippi River and every other stream that connects to the Gulf.
The story of Turkey Creek is the story of vitality to the surrounding community. The creek has been integral to the lives of its residents, stretching back over a century. Children learned to swim in the creek. Churches baptized members there. Fishermen staked out fishing holes. Boats and rafts floated the waters. Picnics took place on its banks.
We did more swimming. In fact, that's where I learned to swim in the creek, in which a lot of, we didn't have a lot of areas to go swimming in during when we were young coming up, because the creek was the only place we had to go as far as recreational swimming.
Instead of going to the beaches, we went to the Turkey Creek to have our little picnic, our little brown bag lunches and things.
We used to go back. My aunt would take us through the woods, all up and down the creek, and we would sit there and we would fish.
Today, Turkey Creek is very different. Development has changed the waterway by clearing many of its banks. Trash and pollution are an issue. The creek has lost some of its pull as one of the social centers of the community. Turkey Creek's watershed stretches beyond its immediate banks to affect much of Harrison County. With Gulfport growing almost daily, it is vitally important to maintain the ecological integrity of the watershed. The creek itself is poised to be a premier inland urban waterway in Harrison County, great for fishing, birding, hiking, and rowing. But the water must be of good quality to support the ecosystems that provide such uses. The effort to restore Turkey Creek is being led by a group of community leaders and organizations dedicated to conservation, like the Land Trust for the Mississippi Coastal Plain. The Land Trust mission is simple: to purchase land along the banks of Turkey Creek to hold in perpetual conservation and educate landowners and stakeholders on what they can do to preserve the ecological function of the creek. By purchasing the land along the creek, the Land Trust hopes to create an urban greenway that spans the city, restore the streamside to promote a healthy water body, and enhance urban life for generations.
We want the public to be able to use these lands. So if we have a greenway, like we're aiming for in Turkey Creek, then we try to involve the community in the care of the land, but also in the utilization.
The Land Trust has joined with other coastal organizations, agencies, and companies dedicated to land conservation and the restoration of Turkey Creek.
We have quite a few people within our company that really enjoy working on community programs, and especially those that are going to work towards future conservation. And we've worked quite a bit with the Land Trust for the Mississippi Coastal Plain on many different projects, and Turkey Creek is one that will be here forever. We will be in Gulfport forever, and we really think that it's well worth our investment to work with the folks of this community and the Land Trust to preserve what we have.
Although it is important for corporations and groups to help, the best way to save Turkey Creek is for those who live near Turkey Creek to get involved. Its care falls on all of us.